Hinduism had divided India. Muslim invaders from Afghanistan between the year 1000 and 1032. Mahmud Ghazni, just one invader, came 16 times to loot Indian kings. Most of their wealth was in the temple, so he was looting the temple. People had no interest in defending those temples because the local kings who were looting the local people and accumulating wealth in the temples. Every time Mahmud of Ghazni and all other invaders came through Khyber Pass in Afghanistan-Pakistan border. Now, Khyber Pass is only 52 kilometers, or about 33 miles. The Great Wall of China is 2,300 miles long. So Indians could not build a small wall of India, 33 miles. Because India was not a nation, these kings couldn't get together because Hinduism had divided Indian kings through a ritual called horse sacrifice, where a king would try and take over his neighbor's territory. So Indian kings, Hindu kings, were always at war against each other. So politically, Hinduism had weakened India, and religiously, Hinduism had divided India into castes. So the upper castes were exploiting, oppressing, treating the lower castes lower than animals. So this divided India was so fragmented and broken that for 700 years, Muslims ruled Delhi. And then the British ruled Delhi for 190 years. Well, they ruled Delhi just for about 100 years or 90 years, but they were in Bengal. But the administration of Bengal, which included Bangladesh, was given to them by the Mughals. So they didn't fight the Mughal to take over Bengal, but because the local emperors, Nawabs, had looted the British colony in Calcutta, and Robert Clive defeated the Nawabs in 3 different wars, finally the Mughal Empire itself. The Mughal emperor gave the administrative authority, it was called Diwani, of Bengal to the British East India Company. That's how a group of traders began to govern Bengal. But then, during the 1857 Great Rebellion, Delhi itself was fought and won, and that ended the Mughal rule. But the point is that for 1,000 years, Muslims and British and parts with Portuguese and French, they ruled India because Hinduism had weakened India, divided people against each other through the caste system. Caste is an English word. The Indian word is Varnashram Dharma. Through Varnashram Dharma,
I'm not going to try and repeat that.
No. Untouchability is a simpler word. That the Hindu tradition of untouchability, that I despise you as a fellow who is not worthy to be touched. I will pet my dog, but not you. So,
and it's not dead today, is it?
Well, it's very much so today, although untouchability itself is illegal. Caste is not illegal, but caste is a Portuguese word which the British used to describe the Indian reality. So it's not an indigenous concept. Indigenous concept is more complicated. But yes, basically Hinduism had divided India socially and politically and religiously. These untouchables were not allowed to go into Hindu temples. So Hinduism had weakened India, but this concept of friend of India, loving your neighbor as yourself, not treating your neighbor as a despicable, untouchable, low caste.
This comes back to this thing we so often talk about as a theme with my conversations. The critical understanding, if you're to have any free society, rests on the idea that every individual matters. Everyone has dignity, everyone has worth. Even the untouchable, even the woman on the fire.
Well,
being sacrificed for a husband.
absolutely. So
And that individual, that notion of the value of the individual is directly related to the idea of nationhood as you're painting it.
correct. And what is not understood by average pastor or preacher is that love is a political force. It is the greatest political idea. Love your neighbor as yourself is the essence of the Ten Commandments. This is exactly what Hinduism had violated. Don't love your neighbor as yourself, despise your neighbor as an untouchable. And therefore, Hinduism had weakened India